A Texas death row inmate scheduled to be executed next week is pleading with Governor Greg Abbott to spare his life. Quinton Jones was convicted of killing his great-aunt back in 1999 when he was just 20 years old. His supporters say that Jones has turned his life around in prison and is remorseful. Omar Villafranca spoke to one of Jones's family members who hopes that this execution will be stopped. Omar, very interesting story. Good morning to you.
Good morning. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, Texas leads the nation in executions each year. And of the 6 people scheduled to die this year, 5 are here in Texas. And now Quinton Jones is making a final plea, hoping he is not one of them.
All I'm asking you to do, if you can find in your heart, Mr. Abbott, is to give me a second chance at life.
Quinton Jones is set to be executed on May 19th. With the help of the New York Times, he made this video asking Texas Governor Greg Abbott to grant him clemency, which would stop his execution but keep him behind bars.
How is the person you are now different from the person you were when you got on death row 21 years ago?
More thoughtful. Love myself more.
Jones does not deny that in 1999 he brutally killed his great-aunt Berthena Bryant for $30 to buy drugs.
He had an unimaginably difficult childhood, addiction and neglect. He said to me, that his childhood didn't excuse what he did.
Writer Suleika Jawad wrote an opinion article this week advocating for Jones's clemency because she says he's transformed his life. For the last decade, she's been his pen pal and says he helped her get through cancer treatment.
What in those letters or in that interaction has changed your mind that he has changed?
I've had the privilege of witnessing his compassion, his thoughtfulness, and I'm not the only one. He's had many other pen pals around the world, and has had a huge impact on their lives as well.
Have you forgiven Quinton?
I have forgiven him. I love him very much.
Jones's great-aunt, Maddie Long, is the sister of his victim. She and her sister were extremely close.
What would you tell Governor Abbott if he's watching this interview?
I think the governor should spare him because he have changed. And he's a different person than he used to be. According
to the nonprofit Death Penalty Information Center, in Texas, a death penalty case costs an average of $2.3 million, about 3 times the cost of imprisoning someone in a single cell at the highest security level for 40 years. Overall, support for the death penalty is declining in the U.S. According to a 2019 poll from Gallup, only 36% of Americans chose the death penalty when asked whether the death penalty or life without possibility of parole is the better penalty for murder.
When you look at a case like this one, really the only question is whether people believe that the death penalty is an appropriate kind of punishment for this particular set of facts.
Paul Cassell is a professor at the College of Law at the University of Utah.
Well, you can make 2 arguments in support of the death penalty. One is the utilitarian argument that we can deter crime by imposing the most serious punishment for first-degree murder. And the other is the retributive argument that if we look backward, we want the punishment to fit the crime.
Republican Governor Greg Abbott has only granted clemency 1 other time to someone on death row.
I understand, too, that if I do get clemency, I know that instead of dying on the 19th, I may die years later. But it won't be in the free world. It'll be in prison. And I can accept that because there's other avenues in prison that I can take to better myself and to better others along the way.
More than 120,000 people have signed a Change.org petition asking Texas Governor Greg Abbott to grant Jones clemency. We reached out to the governor's office but did not hear back. The Texas Board of Pardon and Paroles is considering clemency, and once they make their decision, which could actually happen today, they'll pass that recommendation on to Governor Abbott. Vlad?
All right, we'll be watching. Omar, thank you very much.